So I finished my first ever playthrough of Dark Souls 2 just a few months ago, and it's no secret that some people have some issues with this game. Dark Souls 2 was the last of the FromSofware soulsbourne games that I played because I genuinely avoided it. The way people talk about it in social media comment sections would have you think it's a virus waiting to harm you or something. People would be talking about Dark Souls in a comment thread, someone would bring up Dark Souls 2 and they'd reply, "Oh, we don't talk about that one." So you can understand my hesitation to jump into it. However, I gotta say guys, Dark Souls 2 is not that bad. It's even, in fact, good. Mostly. Now, before you click away, I want to ask one really important question. What makes a Souls game good? For me, I think the Souls formula can be broken down into three very important components: boss fights, exploration, and build crafting. In Elden Ring, which I believe to be the best Soulsborne game, it has all three of these. It has great bosses, amazing exploration, and really engaging build crafting. Now, let's apply these three components to Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 bosses are definitely the game's weak point. A lot of the bosses in here are just really forgettable and not all that exciting. However, there are some good ones in here too. Fume Knight, Looking Glass Knight, Old Ivory King. These are all really fun fights, so I wouldn't necessarily say that Dark Souls 2 has the worst bosses in the world. You know, it's no beta chaos, you guys. It's not that bad. But they are definitely a low point within the game. However, one thing related to the bosses that I think Dark Souls 2 does really well is that we can refight them. I have been begging FromSofware to add a boss refight feature in Elden Ring forever, and Dark Souls 2 essentially has something similar with the bonfire aesthetic system. You can burn one and redo the entire area, including item pickups and refighting the area boss. I love this system, and I want it to return in their future games. This New Game Plus, without actually going into New Game Plus, is so fun and also makes getting footage for videos easier. Next is exploration. Now, I think Dark Souls 2 has some good areas. I'm just going to say it. I know this is a hot take, but just hear me out. No Man's Wharf has a little gimmick where you can turn on the lights to make the shadowy creatures retreat and hide in buildings. So not only is it a fun area to explore, there are layers to it. Drangleic Castle is beautiful and was so much fun to explore my first time playing. I absolutely loved moving through the halls of the castle and then being able to just fight the Looking Glass Knight in the rain. Broom Tower was also really fun. I'm not just going to keep listing areas I liked as the list goes on, but you get the point. I had so much fun with the exploration in this game, and the areas were genuinely enjoyable. Now, sure, they're no Halic trait, but I think they are extremely serviceable for the game they're in, especially with mechanics like the Lockstones or the Branches of Yore. There are fun little Easter eggs and bonus paths within the areas. This is not to say that they are perfect though, as Dark Souls 2 does contain what I consider to be the worst area in the video game ever made, but overall, they were a lot of fun to go through. The third component is build crafting, which I think Dark Souls 2 does extraordinarily well. There are so many unique weapons in this game that are just so much fun to play with. Both of the Smelter Demon Swords, Santier's Spear, Smelter Hammer, there are so many fun weapons in this game to build around and try. And the game makes it easier to try these because the infusion system is great. You can get really creative with some of them, like the Mundane Infusion, and almost every weapon in the game can be buffed. For me personally, build creation is very important in these games. It's what drives the replay value and that they all have. I like trying out all sorts of different builds and weapon types, and I think Dark Souls 2 really nails this on most fronts. Sure, I would have liked to see miracles or pyromancies be a little bit better than they currently are, but I'm satisfied enough with the variety you can achieve. I hope in future games they allow more weapons to be infused like they did with Dark Souls 2 because it's amazing, and I hate that they gave up on that idea after just one game. So at its core, I think Dark Souls 2 hits most of these points. Great exploration, great build variety, and okay bosses. This together forms my opinion that Dark Souls 2 is good and is way too overhated by the community. However, I want to take some time to address some of the most common complaints people have. Yes, ADP is a dumb stat and it should have never been introduced. I don't know what they were thinking. Iframes behind a stat is just so stupid. Yes, no iframes in fog walls is ridiculous and that also should have been reverted. And yes, there are a lot of ganks in Dark Souls 2. However, as annoying as all these things are, they really don't hurt my enjoyment of the game enough to consider it bad. I still really enjoy it, but I want to keep this video short and sweet just to kind of get my thoughts out there without rambling for too long. So I want to hear what your thoughts on Dark Souls 2 are. Do you like it or not? Am I crazy? Tell me in the comments. But anyways, thanks for watching.